My name is Mike Moyer. I'm a Chicago-based entrepreneur and writer, and I teach entrepreneurship. Slicing pie is a formula for determining a perfectly fair equity split in an early-stage bootstrapped company. It's a universal formula, which means it works anywhere in the world. And I've been an entrepreneur most of my career. I've gone from startup company to real job to startup company to real job. And every time I work at a real job, I get paid a salary, and I'm happy, and I don't take equity. When I work at a startup job, I don't take a salary, and I expect to get paid in equity. And throughout my career, I've struggled with this concept of how do you do it right. And it's all about trying to figure out and predict future events. And it's such a complicated topic that most people just say, hell with it, we'll just go 50-50, and nothing will go wrong. Well, the problem is, if we go 50-50 and you do all the work and I own half your company, and now you got to get your equity back from me. And so many companies struggle with this idea of how to split equity that years ago I sat down and I said, there's got to be a better way to do this. And what I realized was that business is quantifiable. It's the only part of our lives that is quantifiable down to pennies and dollars and euros. The best way to understand it is the game of blackjack. So let's pretend that you and I are going to play blackjack together as a team. We're not playing against each other, we're playing as a team. And we're going to agree to split the winnings 50-50 because we're friends. We go to the table and we each put $1 on the same hand of blackjack. We don't know if we're going to win. We don't know how much we're going to win. We don't know how long it's going to take to win. We can't predict the future. What we know for certain, though, is that we each bet $1. So the dealer deals 2 aces. It's good. We're going to double down our bets, split the aces and double down. But I'm out of money and you're not, so you had $2 more down. So now you've bet $3 and I've only bet $1. If we win, our 50-50 split is no longer fair. It should be 75 for you and 25 for me. Your share of the winnings, in terms of profits or proceeds of a sale, your share of the winnings should be based on your share of the bets. Now we hit a deal for 50-50. Just because we agreed to it doesn't mean it's fair. Or what we agreed to doesn't mean it's fair. What's fair is that our share of the winnings should reflect our share of the bets. And using that basic principle that reflects fairness all over the world, we can use the facts of fair market value to determine a perfect equity split every single time. So slicing pie is used from inception to Series A financing or break even. So it's during the bootstrap stage. And during the bootstrap stage, the way companies finance themselves is by not paying for stuff. So I'll hire you and not pay you. You'll pay for your plane tickets and I won't reimburse you. I'll negotiate free rent. I'll negotiate free advice and free services. So that's the way startups finance themselves, is by not paying. In that not paying stage, that's when slicing pie applies, because the amount that you're not paying is the person's bet. Once you reach a break-even point or Series A investment, you now have enough money to pay everybody, and slicing pie no longer applies. You freeze the pie or bake the pie and distribute shares. It works when the share value is 0. Once the share value becomes worth something, you can use the underlying share value to trade shares. My obstacle of slicing pie is teaching the world how it works. For some reason, it's not obvious to everybody. So my job is to teach people, which is why I do events like this and videos. And I have books about it, and I have free spreadsheets online and websites and video. I do my best to teach the world how this works. The perceived challenges could be legal. The perceived challenges could be that you have to track things, you have to track the unspent values. But most companies track payroll, and most companies track expenses. There's nothing new to track here. At its core, slicing pie is simply a decision-making model. It helps you make the right decision on how to split equity. So no matter what legal framework you're working in, what country you're working in, making a decision, there's no illegal or legal way of making decisions. You just make decisions. So slicing pie doesn't introduce any new taxes or any new struggles. Now that being said, different countries have different rules and laws as equity is allocated. Some countries have rules with regard to allocating equity and taxes that are associated with the allocation of equity in the first place, whether they're worth anything or not. So different countries handle it slightly different. I work with lawyers all over the world, throughout Europe and all over the world. And I've never run into a situation where slicing pie is not a legal way to do this, or not a compatible way to do this. There's even a slicing pie outfit in Iran. There's some Iranian guys translated the book and have a slicing pie website. So very different cultures, very different economic systems. Slicing pie always works because it simply reflects the logic of fairness. It's not my scheme. It's not a scheme or a deal. It's basically just how does fairness work in the real world and how do you apply it to a business situation. I say there's two ways of splitting equity, unfairly and slicing pie. And that's because there's only one version of fairness that exists. If you think something's fair and I think something's fair, then one of us or both of us has to be wrong. Slicing pie always produces the same results no matter who's providing the inputs. So if everyone has their own version of fairness, you can't be fair. So slicing pie, by reflecting the logic of fairness that as it exists in the world, always produces the same result, a fair result. So as companies want to scale themselves, rather than taking out loans and paying everybody, they can use the non-payment of fair market values to allocate these bets, and they can go a lot further with no money than they could without using slicing pie. With slicing pie, they're going to run out of equity very quickly because they're going to dole out chunks of equity using what's called a fixed split, and they're going to run out of chunks, and they're going to have to start paying people, and it turns into a great big mess. I've talked to lawyers all over the world, and some of them estimate that 60 to 80% of all equity deals done the traditional ways wind up in dispute that requires legal intervention. That means the chance of failure with your equity split is greater than the chance of not failing, which leads to legal hassles and expenses, and it's just not good for teams, not good for anybody. Slicing pie always works. In the 10 years I've been doing this, I've never seen a single situation where applied properly, slicing pie hasn't solved it.